All right, we're just gonna be doing a little impromptu live today. Just gonna be talking a little bit about car audio. I know it's morning, so I probably won't have a lot of people tune in, but I was gonna do this last night, but just didn't. So we're gonna talk about a little bit of car audio. We're gonna go through some install pictures, and we are going to talk about the industry a little bit as far as where it's at today and maybe where it's going, whatever. So I'm gonna switch over to screen capture here. I guess the first thing we'll start with, I do also have some manufacturer stuff pulled up that I'm kind of excited about that I want to see as well. So some equipment coming out and some lines of product that are already out. So what we're gonna do, we're gonna start. I'm gonna tell you a little bit about my background in car audio, how I started. We're gonna go through some pictures of some of my more recent installs. I guess I'll add let me do this real quick. Go here. Let's add my webcam. Y'all can see me talking. Boom, boom, boom. Okay. Let's take this down. It might be too small, but whatever. Okay. We'll go back to the photos. Basically, car audio, man. I started, what started me out was before I had my driver's license. One of my buddies was about 2 or 3 years older than me. His name was Clay, and he had an Astro van that his mom gave him. And so he got his driver's license a few years before me and my other buddies did. And we initially tried hooking up a home theater 5.1 system in the Astro van. Did not go very well. That graduated to an amp and two woofers. I think it was one of those little plexiglass bandpass boxes. He ended up, going all the way up to I think like 4 or 6 P312s at one point. But that kind of got me into it. And then of course when I got my first car, which was a 1994 Honda Accord, big ballin', great grandpa bought it for me. Think I got my first amp was a Kenwood 800 watt KAC something, and I got it from Best Buy. Then I had it on I want to say two Rockford P1s or something like that. But I started shopping at a shop called Sound Advice USA, which I'll jump over to these other. I'll show you one of my installs from Sound Advice because I ended up working for them. Um, That was the last install I did on a party barge for Sound Advice, and this is a plexiglass amp rack. Anyways, I started shopping at Sound Advice, and they came out to my car one day. I think I was trying to buy an amp, and Chuck, the salesman there, came out and looked at my car and saw my install, and he was, "Hey, this is a really good install. You want a job?" And I was still in high school. I said, "Yeah." So I started working at the shop after school. It wasn't like full time; it was part time at that point, and then I was working at a Louisiana Baton Rouge Country Club as a busser. I was bussing tables was my other job for the other days I wasn't working at the shop. I ended up, start only working at the audio shop, and that became a full-time thing. I think I want to say I was probably 17 when I started working at that shop. Of course, working at a car audio shop gives you access to a lot more stuff. You get things for, cost. And so I found myself spending a lot more of my money on car audio. Became a very quickly very expensive hobby for me. So that's basically my start in it. I've worked at Sound Advice USA in Baton Rouge. I worked there on and off, going on 10 years probably. I had a guy there named Tremel Raby who trained me. He's a really good technician. Um, I ended up, so I went to cell phone towers and some other stuff at a few different points, and made my way back in and out of the industry. This is a Corvette. I did it all pro. So the most recent shop I worked at was All Pro Audio in Zachary, Louisiana. That was up until March, April, maybe April of this year. I was taking a break from fleet installs, and this was a awesome shop to work at. It was a great opportunity. The owner here has a lot of history in car audio, especially groundbreaking fabrication, building, creativity, just on a whole nother level. Calvin is very talented. Uh, he's got quite a few magazine featured installs. He had a car with solar panels flush mounted into a spoiler, I want to say before the year 2000, maybe early 2000. Um, that's Nobody was doing that. That is a blurry picture. That's my Subaru. I'm just going to go through some of the install pictures while I was at All Pro. This is a Malibu 427 LS that Calvin did, and it was in the shop when I started back at All Pro. This was the car that was waiting on getting work, and they're really busy on home theater stuff. Basically, he only had one technician in the shop. Mike doesn't like doing the custom work. He likes doing high-end installs, Focal 3-ways, 2-ways, DSP amps, stuff like that. So I was doing all the fabrication and building while the owner, was taking care of home theater stuff. This car was absolutely gorgeous install Calvin did. Only thing I did in here was I ended up swapping out the amps. We had all this disassembled. I think I reassembled all this stuff. He'd used the Mobile Solutions templates to make this trunk inlay. We ended up going with some JL amps instead of the Focal amps. The Focals were giving us some weird problems. Random picture frame. So after I did this car and we got it back together, the first big build I did with them was a 1966 Buick Wildcat. And we weren't wiring in any of the system. The only thing he was paying us to do was build a subwoofer enclosure, kick panels, and a center console. And I ended up doing all three of them for this car. It was a lot of meticulous labor, but this is one of the enclosures. We did 610s ported. He brought his own DS18 woofers, so we just kind of got the specs for it. And I built one and then copied it twice. It's clipping, I don't know. This is with the JL amps after swapping them in. And tell you what, the JL amps did way better. Night and day difference. Not hating on Focal, but their amps aren't up there with JL amps. Their door speakers are. That's the 3 boxes unfinished put in there. I used some bolt hardware to actually bolt these together once they're in the trunk. And I was just test fitting them right there. That's the Buick Wildcat. It's a gorgeous, gorgeous, gorgeous car. Absolutely loved it. Let's see here. That's a test bench. I was sending some stuff back to the fleet company I was working for. Sunset in Louisiana. This is a Mastercraft boat that we fixed, did a bunch of work to. He actually kind of has a side gig. He has my phone number, and anytime his buddies have a boat and they have an issue or want something installed or fixed, repaired, whatever on a boat, he normally texts me. I'm not the greatest about getting out there and doing it because it's obviously traveling to them, and it's on my downtime when I'm not working, and a lot of times I don't have the energy to make those service calls. But probably should get a little better about that. I actually have a customer right now waiting on me to do some work on his boat. So this is the console for the 66 Buick Wildcat. Way I did this is there's 3 layers on each side, the actual structural layer, and then we did I want to say it's 1/8 inch or 1/4 inch MDF piece here that's wrapped in white on the inside, and then this outer piece is wrapped in black with plexiglass obviously in there and everything being backlit. This is just after so I cut some little, I want to say 2-inch and 1-inch different size MDF slats, and I lined them all up, nailed them down, and then I went through and bondoed with not bondo, levitate to flatten it, give it that nice curve that's not curved. So Christmas pictures of my daughter. It's the most important thing in my life. That is the golf cart. So I built a whole custom bezel, and we did Focal and JL on this golf cart. That's the switches where they originally were. I ended up having to relocate the ignition switch and all the lighting switches to the other side. So that was my picture for reference, so I didn't mix up the wires. And I still ended up mixing up the wires, but we did get that one working. That was amazing build. This is the 1966 Buick Wildcat here. So these are the kick panels that I built. The factory kick panels have a natural little, it goes up like to a second little lip. Basically, this rises up and then does the same thing like this piece of wood. So to get the speaker and the grill recessed, I cut out the actual speaker size in this plastic, cut out 3/4 inch MDF, routed this to match that curvature. And then, the whole speaker grill fit inside of this. And then I bondoed everything here, which I have some more pictures of that. That's more so why I wanted to show these photos. Throughout my years of installing, 15, 16 years in the industry, I never had the tools or the Mobile Solutions templates or the knowledge access that I did at All Pro Audio. When I worked at Sound Advice, it was kind of a trial by fire. I learned by the guy that trained me kind of throwing me in the fire, and he wouldn't really help me until he saw me about to rip my hair out. Just kind of had to figure it out. This shop was a whole different. In a way, it was still the same because the owner wasn't there. But anytime I had questions or anything along the lines of fabricating, building the stuff that I haven't got to do a lot of, he was always there to answer the questions. This is also the golf cart. Just took a picture for reference after I got it all put back together. This is one of the kick panels. So this is after laying the levitate to get that little nice curvature where everything flowed in nice and smooth. I routed these edges here. Chuck apparently signed his name right there. I thought that's kind of funny. And then to get this, I ended up wanting to smooth in this little lip how they had. So I drilled out these holes here, which was Calvin's recommendation. And then we laid levitate to, get a nice little curvature back and forth here. You'll see whenever you put the levitate over, the levitate pushes through these holes and it makes a little mushroom kind of tip on the backside to where it actually bonds to that panel. So less chance of it cracking or splitting. That's after the levitate laid on to that part. Yeah, just another angle. There was a lot of hours of sanding on this project, but it was probably the coolest car that I got to work on too. Dash kit. These are the side panels. We use nut certs on the tan section to bolt this one to that, and then mounted, I think, the tan from the back side of the console itself. All right. This after cleaning up a little bit. This is a uh, awesome system that Mike did. I think this was a Silverado. And this was the first time we heard the slate fibers. So those are the Focal slate fibers. That's a new line. It's a Fox Acoustics Fox box. It's a two-piece box that goes under the back seat. And then he did two VXI 6-channel and then a 1-channel DSP amplifiers. A nice little knob here and then sound shield all the way around. Yeah, Silverado Trail Boss, brand new truck. 600 views. Now, that was not that long ago, to be honest with you. That was earlier this year. Kind of grown a lot. That's Mike. That's him working on that Chevy, getting ready to sound down the doors and put the slate fibers in. This truck sounded fantastic. I wish if they'd made the slate fiber in a three-way, I would have bought those instead of the flax, probably. That's sound shield going on. Mike laying it down. There you go. Inside layers. That's my console kind of skeleton laid in there. Got the kick panels in as well. We're just doing some test fitting. The seat literally pushes all the way up to this and butts up at the furthest back position. I think the guy that drives this car, he was like 6'5" or 6'6", 6'7". He was extremely tall. So that's the dash of the 66 Wildcat. Once again, I had never seen one of these cars before after working on this, so it's a pretty amazing opportunity to get the chance to tinker with such a gorgeous car. That's console coming together. Doom, doom, doom. It had a 11-inch Halo Alpine. Then we had two USBs and then the HDMI for the Halo right there. Obviously, these are just cup holders. It's not a super intricate console, but there is this is the most intricate and in-depth console that I've ever built personally. And then we laid levitate right here to get that curvature at the top. That's why I got duct tape right here. I don't know if I got pictures of laying it. No. This is it finished without the cup holders in. Sitting nice and flush. That. Yeah, that's pretty much it, all wrapped up and finished. I had this wire ran out to a Milwaukee battery. That's what I was powering up the lights with. Like I said, he didn't really want to pay the price to have us wire in everything because we do charge fairly. I wouldn't say high for our labor, but we're all skilled technicians at All Pro, and they all are still. So charge what your time is worth and the knowledge. This is the kick panels finish with the grill sitting in there, nice and flush. Not my particular cup of tea as far as brand of speakers. He chose DS18. Brought all his own equipment, and that's what he got. That's one of the DS1810s. It's going in the enclosure back there. I didn't screw those in or nothing. Honestly, me putting these speakers, I installed these speakers for him. That was a freebie. I wanted to see them finished. I didn't want to just leave them in their bare kick panels. So even putting this radio in was a freebie as well. That is the 610s closures finished. This is the hardware. I just taped it on the top. That way, if he needs to pull them out, put his bolts through, and it's 2 bolts per joint. So pretty proud of this box. You couldn't build this box in one enclosure and be able to fit it in there due to the lips and the overhang on this trunk. So that's why we went with 3. I think the box we only charged 600 or 800 to build this and wrap it. That's why I didn't get any crazy vinyl or type of vanity panels. It was just a basic box. That's all he wanted. Wanted to beat up. With a car this gorgeous, you really wouldn't want the focal point to be inside the trunk either. DS18s. By the way, this is the first set of kick panels I've ever built. I think I did pretty decently. You guys let me know. That's the sides of kick panels, the frosted plexi. I think it came out really good for my first front console like that too. That was also the first front console, not my first enclosure. It's an absolutely gorgeous car. Pretty cool little picture there. Let's put that music back on. Keep it low. Let me see something real quick. Hold on with me. I don't know how hot that is, but we'll go with that one. It's just weird talking by myself here for long periods of time. All right. That is right before you came and pick it up. This is the golf cart I did with Focal and JL. A lot of work went into that one. So this is the magazine, one of the magazine cars the boss, the owner of All Pro Calvin built. I think this is the one with the solar panels flushed in the spoiler. I mean, this was, I can't remember what year. This was pre-2000, I believe. He had EQs flush mounted in the doors. That is in the door card. These kick panels down here, let's see if I can zoom into this. These kick panels down here, this tweeter was motorized and rotated on axis, and it was electronically controlled for adjusting his sound stage. I mean, guys, I'm not trying to brag, but this is probably one of the most groundbreaking, ahead of its time builds in car audio out there. And Calvin did a lot of stuff like this. It's absolutely insane. Windows, it's unbelievable. Let's see what we got. I think it had, yeah, this is just it's Car Stereo Review magazine. That's the Focal slate fiber truck, and we were demoing it, listening to it, and like I said, it sounded absolutely amazing. No, this is the Linkswell. I did a Linkswell radio in this truck. Same interior, different truck. Yeah. So we installed a Linkswell in this truck. That's a Denali. Check. That's the guy that originally. So at Sound Advice USA in Baton Rouge, when I first started in car audio when I was 17, this is the salesman that got me my job, that asked me if I wanted to work. And he ended up moving to All Pro after some disagreements with the owner of Sound Advice and the way things were being ran. Same reason I left. And I came back into the industry. He was over here at All Pro with Calvin, who also, I'll go ahead and throw this in. Calvin, the owner of this All Pro shop, used to work for Richard at Sound Advice. One day, like the AC, he wanted AC in the Bay or something like that, because it's hot in Louisiana, and was willing to pay the extra $40 for however much. They calculated it all out, how much it would cost in extra in utilities. Calvin said he was willing to pay that extra amount if Richard would install air conditioning in the install bay. And Richard told him, no, go open your own shop if you want AC in your install bay. And that's exactly what Calvin did. And I respected him for it. And Louisiana is a small state, so all the installers and shops know of each other. Everybody kind of knows who everybody is. And Calvin made quite a big splash when he did that. Um, Anybody that's in SQ world or SQ competitions probably know Calvin. He used to go by Calvin White, but his actual last name is Calvin Glitcher, I think. So you know who he is. Throw it down in the comments if you watch this going back. Some more of the links. Well, painted my dash crotch picture. This is a Harley Davidson we did. I did. It's a JL marine amplifier on top of the head unit. There's a ton of wires to cram and fit in that fairing. I think this was as I was wiring the power, a power and ground. Going to the battery here, under the seat, routing of the wires. These are the fairing, not fairing, the little speakers I added, those little pods right here. Added those, swapped out these. That's 4 focals. Um, these weren't on the bike beforehand, so that was my first time doing these. I don't really like working on a lot of bikes just because it can really be a pain in the ass. Sound dead in the fairing. This is a boat I did on the side, I think. No, this is a boat we did at the shop. Yeah, we swapped these amps out. Back deck I did for Focal 6x9s with nice little recessed routed window. Everything was mounted from underneath, and then they've got I did a black grill material over the speakers so nothing would get back there and mess them up. Amp rack I did for them. We ended up pulling the carpet up. Obviously, this was sagging, but originally the amps were just laying in here. The wiring was all jacked up, so I built them this little amp rack. I only charged like $100 or something to do that amp rack. So just a quick little boom boom. That's a Honda Civic engine bay. Yeah, probably. This is the 312 Scar box I built. Ported, cut a little notch in here, so the bottom I wrapped in trunk liner carpet, top I wrapped in carbon fiber vinyl. Came out pretty good. It sounded really good too. This is it finished. It's pretty proud of that box. Customer liked it. See the one little imperfection right here. Cut a little bit too much of the carpet off. Daughter. I think this is a Jeep. I'm gonna say it's a Jeep. It's Fox box. It's only prefab boxes to really use unless we're running short on them. Yeah. This is the Jeep because I can see the DS18 speaker pods added up here. That was one of the repeat customers I had. Did his system in like 3 different stages. We added the back soundbar first, then we added the front speakers, amps, and then we came back and added the woofers, I think. Something along that line. Yeah, it was a single JL8 or 10 that goes in that box. Can't remember. These are the dash pods. That's a skeleton that I started with. And this is as I started laying my levitate and getting the sides all kind of molded in here. This was a lot of time consuming work. So basically every gap you see here, all the seams, I laid levitate filler to make these, mesh into each other. We'll go through some of the pictures as I did that. Calvin ended up building a second little baffle to go in here to flush mount this speaker as well. But I built that whole section I built. Yep. So this is after he added his little second baffle front cover, and then he bondo or levitate filler. I did all the levitate filler here, and then for the sides. Um, they sounded really good. I will say that. I ended up buying these same exact speakers for my car just because I liked how well they turned out in that car. That was for 2 JLW7s. He wanted an ice chest in the center, so he bought some Yeti ice chest, got his logo on it, and I built this box. These are Mobile Solutions templates, and I just had to basically trace it out, route it over and over and over. These are the dash pods finished, so we got the tinner to add us a little tint there, kind of make it flow a little bit better. And like I said, they sounded fantastic. I love the sound staging of having dash pods. I heard some guy in a chat last night say how useless dash pods were, but to each their own, man. I mean, if you're running super tweeters and pro mids, I don't really care what your opinion is on anything. So as the dash pods finished up, I would like to have these A pillars wrapped in black to kind of match, but I didn't want to do these in tan with the dash being black. That is a little center console enclosure I was kind of playing with some ideas designing. That's kind of how it was laid out before everything got wrapped, the grills and everything. I ended up leaving the shop to go back to doing fleet because I wasn't making enough money, which is typically always the case with our audio. I don't know, at least in Louisiana. So that's about it for the pictures I want to go through. Now I want to bring up something else here. We're going to go through some of stuff that I am excited about. And like I said, this was at Sound Advice. This was a party barge I did. It's also on the Kicker Facebook because Kicker kind of sponsored it or whatever. But this was just an open cavity. I built this entire amp rack. The bottom of it is clear like Lexan that the amps are sitting on, drilled, mounted all, ran all my wires through that. And then this is a clear acrylic. I frosted, I basically taped this design off with the little corners and frosted the edges of that. I was gonna backlight this, but when I saw them with the actual Kicker marine amps lit up with the green everything at nighttime, I was like, nah, we don't need any extra LEDs. We mounted all the batteries and wire and everything is ran under this amp rack, and then this little gate right here opens up to where you can access everything. That was it at nighttime. Not really the greatest picture. That's the boat. We also installed this entire whatever you call this tower, and then all these Kicker speakers here. There's a ton of Kicker speakers inside. Just maybe able to go find here. Let's go back some. Yeah. Now y'all remember Sound Advice, right? Yeah. That Justin and Toyd show. Well, Justin used to follow me on Instagram, and every one of my Instagram posts while I was working at Sound Advice had Sound Advice at the top. Just saying. There was another Sound Advice in Florida. It was a chain store, but we weren't with them. So these are all rotatable. He kind of had a few angle in different directions. I think once he got it all lined out. That's at nighttime. Not the greatest photos during the day. All right. Anyways, so that was the booze cruise I did for Kicker build. That was when we first started selling Kicker at Sound Advice again. I ended up leaving not too long after that. Go back to fleet installs. Alrighty. Something I'm excited about that I would like to try. Arc Audio PS8 Pro Digital Sound Processor. PS8 Pro's standalone design allows users to adapt this breathtaking DSP technology into most any aftermarket or OEM integrated system with a compact yet powerful package that is compatible with signals ranging from 0.5 volts to 32 volts RMS via RCA or speaker level connections. It's just something I have not got to get my hands on any ARC products, but I don't know. I'm really thinking if I go DSP, this is something I would really like to try out. But we'll move to the next thing. It messed me up here. North America. Something I want to also kind of play with, not necessarily for my car, but I would like to test them because they were working on this while I was still at was I in Beaumont at Performance Car Stereo. It's going to be their three-way speakers. I have not got to hear them yet, and I would like to hear them. Yeah, status. So whenever I was working at Performance, we were Alpine dealer, and the rep was in there listening to the Alpine truck, the shop truck I had built for Performance, and he was telling me they were working on. They had like a separate 3-inch driver that they sold that you could kind of pair with the 6.5 tweeter components, and now they've actually made that into a full three-way set. I'm not gonna take credit for that, but I pushed him to do that. Another Alpine product, obviously their Halo radios. This is what I used in the '66 Buick Wildcat. I would absolutely love this unit. I've used multiple of this one and the smaller version of it. It's a 9-inch. Yeah, so they're both fantastic radios. That's something I would like to eventually upgrade to. I do love my Sony radio though. And then last but not least, these beautiful three-ways. Obviously, I'm a Focal guy. I have not got to use any Morel stuff other than what customers have brought, and most of it was lower to mid-level stuff. But as far as three-ways go, I love my Flax. I love the K2s. This is the one set of three-ways that I would really, really love to get my hands on. Obviously, due to finances, this probably won't be feasible anytime soon, but these are fantastic looking speakers. The new 38th anniversary limited edition system is the culmination of over 3 decades of research and development and manufacturing expertise, marking the next evolution for high-end car audio. What sets the speaker system apart from competition? It starts with the materials like the titanium voice coils and the woofers and carbon fiber Roacell sandwich cones and a machined aluminum faceplates for the tweeter and mid-range. Add the advanced crossover with top quality components and Lotus Grill, and you begin to see why the 38 is a CEA 2014 Innovations Award recipient. There you go. That is, you know, but I guess they only have it in a two-way now. One, two, it's a three-way there, right? Yeah. So they don't offer the three-way anymore. So we'll go back. They do offer quite a few different three-way systems. Let's see. Performance. Where'd they go? Maybe it was resolution. I know we have the Supremos. Two-way, three-way. I don't know. If somebody knows, throw it down in the comments. Do they still offer these in the three-way? Boom, we went over that. Got Alpine. Yep. Ah, one I forgot. Boom, boom, boom. Last but not least, this is so I've had when I worked at Sound Advice. I started with Memphis. What really got me fired into it was I bought a Rockford T302, which was the first expensive amplifier I bought. I bought that from Chuck. I think I had to put down like $100. It was the most expensive car audio thing I'd ever bought. It was 350 retail. I put down like 100, put another 150, and then put another, $100 down, and finally got to pick it up. But what I originally put it on was two Memphis Power Reference 12s. Then I ended up upgrading, I think, to the M M class 12s. Then I did M3 12s. M3 12s was the first time I ever competed, and in the competition, it was SPL competition. I scored a 146.8, and I came in second place to one car, and he had three JL 1000s and three JL 10-inch W7s. And when I compared the price he spent for his to beat me by a decibel and a half compared to what I spent for mine, he spent about 4 times as much as I did. So I think I did pretty good on that. After having the M3s, I ended up going to 15s. And then and then I went to 8s. So I had 4 M-Class 8s ported. I smoked all 4 of those on a bass drop because I had way too much power going to it on that T302, and I ended up getting those swapped out while I was still working at Sound Advice, selling those woofers, and then I bought Memphis Mojo, and that was when I really started doing some better numbers, I guess you could say, or more a louder system. But the Memphis lines I wanted to look at here and woofers, just something I would love to play with. We'll go to the subwoofers. They do offer a DSP I was looking at. I think personally, if I was going to do a DSP, I'd probably do audio control or ARC or JLVXI amplifiers with it integrated. But here we go. That's what I want to check out. Come on, Slowpoke. Yeah. So the Mojo 15, Mojo 8s, 4/8s would be really badass. I like their prefab enclosures are gorgeous and they perform very well, but I'd want to build my own box without a doubt. Yeah, here we go. Coming in at $900. Let's pull these up real quick. So they're selectable impedance, 1 or 2 ohm, dual voice coil. It's a beast. It's a big daddy. I miss my old Memphis. They were fantastic. My old Mojo, absolutely amazing woofers. So that's one thing I would like to try out that kind of excited about, which I would love to actually work with Memphis a little bit, but who knows, maybe sometime in the future. I did see they had a, YouTube channel now that's, just starting, so I wish them growth. The other woofer, they make a 14-inch VIV subwoofer. That just one of those things that's kind of, I don't know, makes me wonder. Let's see where it's at. Got the V fold here on the surround. So yeah, 14-inch, unique 14-inch size. Memphis development closure tuned specifically to the TS parameters of the subwoofer. Setup allows you to milk every ounce performance out. I wouldn't want to do the prefab box. I would probably replicate it. Um, this would be more so for a SQ system, I think, versus the Mojo. Pretty flat response. So just something that I thought was pretty cool looking. Did I read this right? It's massive 7.5-inch dual layer voice coil. 7.5 inches. That's if SQ in your car is the objective, this is the sub for you. That's just something I was curious about. I haven't been paying attention to chat. I doubt anybody has joined in on this. That's gonna about do it for me. Just wanted to go over some stuff I'm excited about, some of the old install pics that we went through, and yeah, just give you all a little history of me and car audio. So there's a lot of other stuff I want to talk about, the industry, the direction it's going, Big Hefe, and all the other BS going on. But we'll save that for another time. And appreciate everyone viewing. And I'm out of here. Have a fantastic day.